Rather than just sit around and gripe about it, he's taking some action. And so now on the APEC VIP hotline, cutting-edge training for the serious athlete, apecgo.com. He goes by the Twitter handle, Wounded Cowboy, and then you look it up, and it's actually Wounded Cowboy Fan, and his name is Scott Bennett. How you doing, Scott?
Doing great.
Thanks very much for coming on. Because I am a journalist, I automatically deduced that at some point in your life, you have been a Cowboy fan.
Yeah, that's safe to say. I born and raised in Dallas, and grew up most of my youth regularly attending games at the old stadium, and it was a family affair. Go spend time with my family, and grew up loving the Cowboys. In fact, even in my youth, we had a good family friend, former Dallas Cowboy Mark Washington, who was a longtime friend of our family. So not only did I like every boy, get to be a fan, but I knew a player very well. We had a close relationship, and you can imagine that this is, this is tough, like for me, like it is everyone else.
All right, so how old are you now?
I'm 40.
Okay, so you started watching the Cowboys, I guess, during the end of the Tom Landry era?
I would tell you that the truth be told, I watched the Cowboys in the womb. My mom, my mom, may she rest in peace, was one of the ladies. A lot of people like to equate her to Mickey. She was the kind of person that listened in those days with the one earplug, whether it was the Rangers or the Cowboys. She was the big sports fan in our family. So I would argue that I was probably hearing it before I was born. But as my recollection was right. Tom Landry, Tex Tram.
Okay, was Danny White playing when you first started watching, or was this after him?
This was before him.
Before, so you go back to the Staubach years.
Staubach.
Okay,
Staubach.
All right. So how old were you when you actually, realized that Roger Staubach was Mr. Cowboy, not Bob Lilly?
Oh, I mean, that was what I knew.
Okay.
And I grew up, just idolizing him and Tony Dorsett. And I live actually, even today, I live in an area very close to where I grew up. And quite a few live very close to where Emmitt Smith lives, Roger Staubach's house, and know a lot of their children. I mean, just through the network. So I actually went to junior high and in high school with Tex Schramm's grandson.
Great. Okay.
So a lot of ties to this thing. It isn't deep for me.
Deep. So obviously, then that means that the hurt is extremely deep over these last 16 plus years.
It is, and again, I'm 40, so your priorities change. I mean, I am a sports fan through and through. I love the game, and then I like the game behind the game. I like to read about the sports business, and seeing it evolve, obviously, from the time I knew it to what it is today. We were just talking about A-Rod and everything that goes with that when coming into the show. But you can imagine the last 16 years for me has been one punishment after another. I feel like.
Scott, let me give you just something to hang your hat on here. I have a 15-year-old son who has never in his life seen a good Dallas Cowboys team.
Yeah, that's. I don't even know what to say.
I feel seriously, when you were talking about listening to the Cowboys in the womb, that would have created a miscarriage.
That's not fun. It's not funny.
It's sick.
It's sad.
It's sick
sad,
funny. I know.
But it's sick. Well, we can be there. But it's funny. I imagine the questions he has is he like me. It's kind of like he's an alien, right? Because he can't figure out what everybody's doing at the stadium. Why are they supporting this? I'm sure he's cerebral enough, if you're his father, to understand that this is not. This just does not make sense to him.
He does walk up the stairs a lot when I'm sitting there screaming at the television, looking at me, saying, "Why do you do this yourself every weekend?"
Yeah, and I think that's he would appreciate then where I've come from, because I think we'll get into it, I hope, but kind of what happened. How did the balloon burst for me?
That's what I want to hear.
So I think it really happened, a conversation. This has been a culmination of years, and I have two daughters, so unfortunately I don't have to. And they don't even really, they like sports, but they don't. I don't have to explain this to them like you do your son. So at least I have that going for them. But as they were born, time, the priority of time, being able to dedicate it. I remember I told people this has been a gradual process. I used to have the NFL ticket and watch all the games. I played in 3 fantasy football leagues. Today I only have 1. So this has been a migration just by life responsibility. But I always stay connected. I'm an avid sports fan, and about 5 or 6 years ago, I remember driving in the car and hearing the whole Quincy Carter debacle, and it was sort of, I thought at the time, an all-time low for this, for just the star and everything I knew, and it just got easier for me to let go. So I let go of the ticket. I just really everything that I was doing, I really sort of readjusted myself from a priority standpoint, and then it got less and less. I'd start missing a game here, a game there. I'd still listen on the radio if I wasn't in front of a TV, and then I'd find, then it was just like background, right? Because I'm like, I already had predetermined that there was a greater likelihood that there was a 500 football team. So what was I really missing? And during the Lions game, the comeback that should have never been.
Right.
I remember staring at the TV, standing in front of it, and just shaking my head. And not only was I'd already become numb, but now I found myself wanting them to lose, and that's not right. It's not right as a sports fan. It's not right as somebody like me. It just did not feel right. But cheering for them doesn't feel right either. The product that they put out on the field, the wins and losses, aren't there. You look at the record, and I don't have to go that much deeper. I think your fans all know where we stand.
No.
But what happened, ultimately, Bryan, was that a friend of mine and I had lunch this summer, and somebody who I grew up knowing, also a very big sports fan in the Metroplex, and we were talking, and he told me he'd stopped 2 years before me, and I really hadn't talked to him about the Cowboys. It's funny that we got onto the topic, and I said, what's going to happen for us? I said, he's around my age. I said, I do fantasy football, but I said, am I going to live the rest of my life? Because I don't see I see the lineage, the Jones family, cheering for a team that will not win in spite of itself. Is this what it's going to be? And I said, I feel like that's, seeing what the Raiders did with Al Davis, and the fact that Jerry, is more interested in making a pizza commercial than he is about getting somebody to run the football side of things. I lost it, and I said, we got to do something. I said, we can't complain. I said, I haven't lived anywhere else. I'm from Dallas. I went to school at the University of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a Longhorn fan, and you can imagine how tough this week really is.
It has been a bad week for you.
I've actually had a bad month. If we put the Ryder Cup and the Rangers, it's not been a banner month for sure, like many of us. But anyway, I said we got to do something, and I said we're going to have to reprogram ourselves to be sports fans. We gotta take action on this instead of sitting around and complaining. And I want the goal was simply to make sure that Jerry Jones heard the message that contrary to the fans that stand there for whatever the price of those tickets are. I've never been to the stadium. I refuse to go for a Cowboy event. I have been there for other events, but pay for the expensive beer and support his balance sheet. I said we got to do something. We got to get the message to him, and I know other people have. You probably have said it. Sports writers are saying it. So I said, let's take action. So we went through this process to reprogram ourselves to try to find another NFL team. Again, my dad didn't live somewhere else. I hadn't moved away. This was very unnatural for me.
Yeah, I mean, you're just doing something totally contrary to your raising.
Yeah, and not a stunt. I mean, this isn't a for-profit thing. This isn't, this was simply to get a message to Jerry that every fan matters. That's it.
All right, so tell me what you're doing then.
So this friend of mine, Howard Hacker, and I decided that we were going to reprogram ourselves, and we went through a series of criteria looking for another franchise, that we were divorcing the Cowboys, and it took 40 years to get to this place, so I can't tell you that in 6 games into the season that we're going to know everything about any NFL franchise and wear the jersey and go back in the history. That's just a lot of tearing down of the walls of this thing for me.
So you're going to get remarried, is what you're saying? We
are getting remarried.
Okay.
We went shopping.
One thing before you get there, Scott Bennett, the Wounded Cowboy fan. Twitter handle is @WoundedCowboy. Divorcing the Dallas Cowboys. Before you go on, which half do you get?
I think it's funny. I don't know if there's really a winner in this deal.
There are no winners in this deal. That's for sure. We know there's no winner in the stadium.
And you're right about that. And so I think what you're going to hear is even the selection process that we went through, the criteria, and ultimately where we've ended up. I'm not sure that a lot of people are going to think, one person called me a lunatic today already. So I don't think it's lunacy. I think actually the more people listen to it, and hence the reason you're having me on, is it makes a lot of sense.
It's brilliant.
And so we went through the process. We again grew up in Dallas, so there were some obvious things. You cannot like an NFC East team if you've grown up a Dallas Cowboy fan.
True.
So that ruled out the Eagles and the Skins and the Giants. We wanted it to be a team that wasn't already winning. The last thing they need is some fans. We wanted to go to a team that wanted fans, because clearly Jerry doesn't want us.
Oh, okay. I like this. Good thinking so far.
We wanted to go to I'm a purist. I mean, I like the game and I've always grown up. So we wanted to go to a franchise that had some classic ties to the NFL.
Okay.
Right. So throughout some people like Carolina and Jacksonville.
Right.
Their expansion in my life. We went on to say it had to be in close proximity to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, because we wanted to be able to get to a game relatively easy.
Okay.
So people like Buffalo are gone.
Right.
Not an easy place to get to. We went on and went through a list. We wanted it to be a team that played in an outdoor stadium. Again, back to the purest thing. So we went through this list of criteria, and I think as I'm going through the list, you could probably already do, but a lot of people quickly get to it in 2 or 3 things. And there was an obvious choice that was sitting right there in front of us, because it's what brought us the Cowboys before the Cowboys were the Cowboys, and it was the Dallas Texans, who are now the Kansas City Chiefs. And at least we can honor Lamar Hunt and his vision for bringing it, and take ourselves a Southwest flight away to Kansas City. So we landed on the Chiefs, and we are that hence the wounded cowboy reference, right?
Right.
And we have embraced the Chiefs. And mind you, we did this all before. We didn't do this a week ago. We did this in the summertime. So we started off, we had a lot to do and a lot to learn, and I can't tell you, we're both busy guys. In fact, my friend Howard is in Istanbul, Turkey today, so
wow.
Can't even hear this. And he travels a lot. I travel a lot for our full-time work, and we made a commitment that we were going to attend a game this year. We wanted to go sit among, because they have great fans. I know that about the franchise. Jamal Charles is a University of Texas guy. I know the struggles, and believe me, a couple weeks ago, people started asking me, how do I feel about it now? And the answer is very simply this. And it made a lot. It became even more clear. I didn't know what I was choosing, but it sure makes a lot of sense now. I can tell you this about the recent history of the Chiefs. Status quo has not been their thing, and it isn't even this week. They have a quarterback controversy. They won't stand by and do the same old, same old. They will shake it up, and they will shake it up, and they have. And now, while they've shaken it up and haven't gotten better, they'll shake it up again, and at least they're trying. They're not happy with 500.
I like your thinking. And their beer's not $12 a glass either.
No, and the people still paint their chests, and they just do everything you see about them is a fan base. And they had a low point with the Matt Castle thing, and I followed that fairly closely. I have a friend who's a local sports reporter there, and so I've been somewhat clued in. But the fact is, I always said the expectations are level set when you're a Chiefs fan. An 0-2 Chiefs fan is a heck of a lot better than a 1-1 Cowboys fan. Wow,
and you have some hope that someday it might change and get better.
Well, I think that's it. You nailed it. I think that I even predicted that the Chiefs, if you can hope every week that they're going to shake it up, that they're not going to stand for it. I mean, they've got the right people. I think they've got some good football people in there. It's not a one-year turnaround project for them. So, I think you can always feel. I can tell you this. The last 15, 16 years as a Cowboy fan, I got tired of saying we'll get them next year. And I think I can embrace that, because I do believe that the Chiefs give you a better chance over the next several years if we're going to have more of the same. And the reason I know that is because I read an article last week here in the Dallas paper. I don't read it all the time. I follow as much as I can. Mm-hmm. But there was an article, and I kept it, and I'm looking at it as I'm talking to you, that the Dallas Cowboys more than likely will have one or no draft picks on their roster going into camp next year, going into the season, from the 2008-09 draft.
Saw that same article.
What else do I need to say?
You need to say nothing. And here's the deal. You think about it now, everybody's on Jason Garrett's butt. Okay, so Jerry fires him. Well, guess what that means? Jerry hires the next loser head coach.
Right.
I mean, and so...
Well, nobody, and it's just become more clear. I mean, I haven't spent so much time. I mean, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity, but the fact is, we are seeing some interesting things. One of them is, we might as well take Missouri while we're at it. Look across the way. My wife's from St. Louis, and you look at the Rams, right?
Yep.
They got a coach with less talent than I believe we have here. I mean, all the way through the roster, and you can see amazing things from a great coach. That guy would never take the job here. Nobody wants to come work. No self-respecting, good head coach is going to take the job here.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed.
So as long as this is what it is, right, you're going to have a football guy getting you bad personnel with a at best. I don't want to. I mean, I love Jason Garrett. I liked him as a player, and I think he's a smart guy, but he's got a lot of work to do.
All right. So what would you suggest we Wounded Cowboys fans do to join this movement?
Well, I started out with high hopes. This isn't a profit thing. This is a message thing. This is a movement thing. And I thought, the best thing to do is follow me on Twitter.
Okay.
Somebody commented that all you need to do is have a little shtick. That's not what this is. But that's number one. Number two, I think I would tell you is if you respect yourself, don't go to Jerry's house.
Okay.
Stop going.
So vote with your pocketbook.
Right.
Okay.
And every fan matters. I haven't gone. I'm not going to go. I've been invited a couple times. No cost to me. Not doing it. I just simply don't want to send the wrong message like so many people are doing. The other thing is, I think you can continue to send the message out there. Talking to people like you, continuing. I mean, I think we're in for a long ride, unfortunately, with this thing. And
he looks like he's going to live a long time. It's
he
unfortunate.
does. He does. I'd prefer he keep eating the pizza instead of promoting it. maybe we have better days ahead. But and it's not. And somebody asked me this morning, and I think you would ask if I had a chance to tell Jerry, and I did. Somewhere else today. My comment is, I want to be clear about this thing. He's a great owner. He's got a lot of money and wants to do good things as an owner of a sports franchise. But it's the second that he steps past the boundary of being the owner where everything falls apart. And you need not look any further than across with the field last week. What Ozzie Newsome has done for the Raven franchise.
Exactly.
Football guys. So I think you got to stop going. I think you got to keep. We've all got a job to do to send the message, and I think it has to get a little louder than it's been. And you cannot accept the mediocrity that they're giving us for wins and losses.
I do think you should get a logo, make T-shirts, and put "Hell No, we won't go" on the back. Okay.
You want to be my partner?
I'd love to. I would love to.
I would too, and I got to tell you, I think the best opportunity for us as fans is I think that the national media is caught on board. I happened to catch some national stuff on Monday about what like Mike and Mike are saying, and some of these guys. It's an embarrassment. It's really an embarrassment what's going on. And as fans, if we continue to show up, I think we're really in this Texas and the Cowboy Nation is really not sending a good message. I think we're going to end up being a joke. Is what we're going to be, and I don't want that to happen because we got too many good people here that deserve better than what he's given us.
Unfortunately, I think it's too late. Just saying.
You're probably right.
I don't mean to be a pessimist, Scott, but you feel my pain. I feel yours.
I do, and I don't know. I don't know the sum total of this thing. Somebody asked me, so it's one thing to cheer for the star. It's another thing to make sure you still have your head on tight. and I got to tell you, I'm pretty sure that I sound like I know what I'm talking about because I feel like this makes perfect sense to me, and maybe I'm living in my own private Idaho, but I think the fact is, I would love to come back to the Cowboys. This isn't an easy thing to do, okay? I don't look for Sunday afternoons. I told you time is a premium like it is for anybody, and I have children, but the fact is, if he gets out of his own way, would I come back? Absolutely.
I like it.
Because, so.
I like it. Scott, I loved having you on. I believe in your message. I believe in your movement. I'm on board. I'm right there with you, buddy. So if you need me, I'm your wingman, okay?
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, and then look forward to catching up with you at another time.
Great time, Scott. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bryan.
Check him on Twitter, Wounded Cowboy fan, Scott Bennett on Bryan Houston Sports Radio Live on 99.3 Talk FM.